Everybody, welcome to this video, and today we are going to jump right in and take a look at a couple more December album 2023 pages. Okay, we left off with, let's see, we did Joy, story 9, we did The Wrap, story 10, some school activities, story 11, and now we're going to jump into a couple more here. I have on the right side story 12, and story 12 belongs to my sister because she has a December birthday. Bless her. And so she always ends up in my book just for so many reasons. There's so many reasons why I take the time to immortalize her in my December album. So I have this about 3 by 8.5 inch page made out of pattern paper. I rounded the edges and I added a couple of layers to this front and purposely kind of wanted it to overlap. So we just had a little bit of the picture. So when you open it up, you got like, you know, big celebratory kind of stuff going on here. So had fun with an embellished cluster, as well as some other ephemera bits, and some rub-ons are found in here. This is a frame that belongs to Christmas Spectacular from 49 and Market, which is the majority of the collection that I'm using in this album this year. And I did it on a heavier cardstock. And so because it was going to be, it's basically, every once in a while I'll throw in here like traditional scrapbook pages. I consider this a traditional scrapbook page. And I kept this side over here for journaling. I wrote the story of story number 12. And so that's a look at that. And then next over here is also another story. I don't know if you've been following along with this series. I have a couple of videos out there that are walking through December album 2023, as well as some process videos. And there tend to be stories that I'm always putting in my books every year. Not that they're the same story by any means, but I don't know, they just kind of belong to December. And so this is one of them. This is story 13. And I decided, actually, this is all processed out in the next part of this video today, but it's the story of us. This is us. And so I took, except for the Arizona contingent, I had to kind of make do with a different photo from them, but the rest of us are here. And so we did photo shoot, and I utilized those photos to tell the story of every one of these guys right now, their age, what's going on, what's happening. Tried to keep it really focused to right now. There's things I could have added to what's going to be happening. I did that maybe a little bit, but I just really tried to make this about this is us right now. So photo on the back part of the little flip book, and then journaling for each of them then on the flap. So last one here is my youngest. And so stay tuned for how that all got processed out. And then this was a fun spread of a page. So I did a kind of weird thing. I utilized the 2x2 page protector. I thought all of these were going to go inside, and then they didn't. But I had a whole heck of a fun time putting this together and just making each of these squares very fun and very festive. Story 14 was our snow day. We finally had a snow day. It's very odd for us to go all the way into December before having a snow day. So try to take some pictures of that. Not only do we have a snow day, it was terribly foggy and hazy. So the pictures are not crisp because I took them actually in the midst of the day and the snow and whatnot, but I love them. And this is almost always a story as well, is because of where we live. There's almost always a snow day. That is days 12, 13, 14. And let's take a look at how I processed out this page here. Okay, so I want to share with you how to make the story 13. And one of the things that I like to do, I might have already explained this, printed 2 2/4 size photos. I actually meant to do 2 inches. I don't think I'm going to mess with that now. I think I'm just going to keep it 2 2/4. I'm using a 6x8 background. I'm using a heavier weight cardstock for this. This is the ScrapbookCom's ultra heavy cardstock. I just want a little bit more weight to it. I have 6 photos here, and so that's nice and even. I'm going to come along here and create doors for each of these. Thought it'd be fun to have doors on each one. So what I did here, and I'm literally working with my I think for the most part with my scraps. I might have a couple pieces of paper that are full. So this is another great way to utilize your scraps. But what I'm going to do is do doors here. I don't think I'm even actually going to worry about them staying flat because they're going to be inside the book. The book's going to give them some weight, but we'll see how that goes. So I have cut a 2.5 by 2 2/4 piece of scrap paper. I came along the edge and I scored it at 1/4 inch. And so that is going to wrap around the back of the photo, and that is what's going to then look, this is what it's going to look like then once it's adhered down. So then when you open it, you have the photo of my people, and I'm going to have over here, oops, can't see that on the screen, so sorry. Over here, I'm going to have the journaling, and it's just going to be mostly fact / bullet point, where they are in their life, like how old they are, where are they living, what are they doing, if they're working, if they're in school, extra activities, like whatever, right? It's just, especially when you have a couple of people, this can take a minute, right? So all we're doing to create the little outer page, if you will, is taking a scrap. I need to clean my scrap up here a little bit, and that will just get used someplace else because I do hold on to these. I'm going to go ahead and come in here at, let's go this way, at the 2 2/4 for the height. And then what I like to do is make a decision. At that point, I like this here on my scrap. It's just, there's just a little bit more of the script that's part of the pattern. So I'm going to go take my paper to 2 2/4 on my ruler. I don't have my score blade in here, so I'm just going to use this one here and then just go ahead and give it a score so I know where that measurement is. I'm going to move this back over to 1/4 inch and then trim that off. And this is too, I get a lot of questions about how I do my flips in my memory planner. This is pretty much how that happens, just like this. I like having just a little bit behind it. You probably could do a little bit more. The little piece of paper might actually lay better now that I'm thinking about that if you did a little bit more than 1/4 inch. So now this is going to have to be on, let's see, on this side. So I'll need 3 of these to open on the right side. I'll need 3 to open on the left side. So something that I hope I communicate well on here is the importance of scraps. And I think we're all in this pastime of ours. We are pretty quick to keep our scraps, right? I mean, I try to keep these kinds of things together and then reutilize them. And I think I'm actually going to find some homes here on the tops of these for some of this. But just don't ever underestimate the power of these extra little bits hanging out with you, and put them back to work. I mentioned in a previous video that is one of the story videos for my December album, how I have attempted, I bought 2 packages of the 12 by 12 Christmas Spectacular from 49 and Market. And my goal is to work through one of the packages before I open another package. And so I'm kind of, I guess I wouldn't say I'm getting down to it, but I'm doing a good job. I'll say this. I'm doing a good job of utilizing that paper pack. And every once in a while I've been a little tempted about, oh, I kind of need this sort of pattern or whatever, but I've just really been, it's kind of conditioning. It's kind of just creating the habit of using what's right in front of you and picking it up and making the best of that particular item. Let me see how wide this is. Yeah, I can go. I've been going 1/2 inch on these flaps here. Just, I think it's going to lay down a little bit better than just with the 1/4 inch, especially because this particular paper is just so thick and heavy and hefty. It's great paper. I'm not complaining at all. It's absolutely one of the best cardstocks I've ever worked with. I do love it, but I just want to make sure that I have it so that my pages, since I haven't quite figured out how am I going to close this, and I don't really want to figure that out, I just want to have it so that they are closed kind of on their own. I don't know if you can tell, but I made a little mark here for where my 1/2 inch is, because I want my my pages, my little flaps to start about 1/2 inch down. So I just made a little mark, and then I'll erase that when I'm done. But I'm going to get these now adhered down. So here's my process for adhering these to the page. I created a 1/4 inch little, I don't know, guide, I guess we could call that. I already have this laid down 1/2 inch down from the top of my 6x8 paper. Then I formed this so that I would know how much space I had in between my photos. Then I'm going to take the 1/4 inch double adhesive roll to create a really good adhesion to the page, because again, and I've preached this before, because something is going to be interactive and opened and closed, I just want to make sure, instead of using like a roller adhesive, that I use something that's a little bit more heftier, like that double-sided tape. So I'm going to get that in place. I'm using a bone folder to make sure these are also adhered down. I'll leave that there. What I'll go ahead and do is go ahead and get this one in place before I do my photos. I'm still thinking through how to go about the thinking about how to go about maybe giving it some way to stay flat. I don't know yet. You know, you probably should think these things through a little better, and then probably not, because we've had a lot of happy surprises in these pages. Anyway, I have, and I don't mind happy surprises like at all, especially if they're happy. If they're not happy, I don't want to be surprised. Just warning you, just putting that out there. So I'm going to get this one in place here. So then I'm just going to use a roller adhesive and pop my photo inside, making sure, and I usually do this before I added the adhesive. Okay, I'm just making sure that my photo is actually hidden underneath there. Okay, now I'm going to continue to get the rest of these on the page. Okay, I think I figured it out. So you can see I have a couple of these closed down. So I was just kind of thinking like, what would keep a thing down? All right, you don't need that explanation. What you do need to know is, so I'm taking a, what is this? I believe this is a 5/8 measure for a little circle punch. Okay, so I am punching that out. Let me pull my trimmer up here, because then I'm going to just right in the middle of my circle punch, I am going to give it a good score. And just kind of bend that up a little bit. Then I'm going to turn that over. I'm going to use 1/8 inch double-sided adhesive tape and just go right down the middle of that. And then give it a good, what do we want to call this? Give it a good rub. Can we say that? And then I'm just going to pull that up, kind of bend it a little bit again. And I just come right here in the middle of everything. Whoops, try to get it right in the middle. And then I do it again. I just make sure it's adhered. Burnish, that's the word I want. Thank you for your help. Burnish. I just want to burnish that in there. And I thought too, the other thing you could do was even come in here and maybe even sew, like right in between there. And I might still do that. So I do like the fact, oh, let me get that my little guide out of the way. I do like the fact that I have given that a little bit more security. Okay, we're going to wrap this up by adding just a couple of embellishy things to the tops of each of the flaps. And so I have a present die that I absolutely cannot find right now. So I'm making my own little gifty thing here. So I just trimmed a piece of scrap pattern paper to about 1.5 by 1.5. And then I have this, this was also just kind of hanging out with my other die cuts. And then a little piece of ribbon there. I thought that'd just be a fun little embellishment, you know, because family is the gift that is automatically given to us, or something like that. I don't know how that goes. Okay, so I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to staple these together. There we go. And then it's going to get a little square foam double-sided adhesive. I'm going to pop it up here on this one. This is a label that the back of, what is this? The back of the, don't you love, I've cut through all these things, guys. The laser cut elements, the back of them has these cutaways, and there was one of these. I've already used one elsewhere, and so I cut it out, and then I typed up This Is Us. I printed it on some clear vellum sticker paper that I have here in my stash, and that way I didn't have to try and type on that label. And so that little square is complete. These were some pieces that were laying around on my workspace here. And so I'm going to kind of combine them here with this square like this, a little square foam piece, and just pop it right up here. And you have to make sure when you're doing these that everything stays inside of the parameters of the flip, because you want to be able to open your little flip open and not have something caught over here, right? And then we wish you a Merry Christmas. I thought that was fun since this is a story about family, and we really do wish you a Merry Christmas. From our family to yours, we do hope and pray you have just a most wonderful holiday time. Now I have a little Happy Christmas up here. I am going to take and use the 1/8 inch again and just give it a little bit of adhesive here at the bottom end of this tab, and then pop that right underneath the photo. So I like how this kind of pops out of my rectangle here. And this kind of pops out of the rectangle a little bit too, but I have it in such a way that it's not going to deter it from opening. So I'm happy about this. The last thing I want to do is I die cut this very fancy P from what's called Festive Alpha, and P for Pate. I wanted to make this work to start the whole thing off with the, whoops, I got to work on this. This is not sticking to where it needs to be. See, I think I need to come back with the sewing. With the pates that started this whole brood here in the first place. And that is how that looks. So thank you so much for joining me yet again. I hope you found a takeaway from this particular story and this technique that I shared with you today. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you in the next video.